everyone, welcome to this lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be considering the second part of what we attended to in the previous lesson. Remember that in the last lesson, we talked about how you can delete properties from an object. We are able to see how the delete keyword works when we are trying to delete or remove properties from an object. And so that leads us to another aspect of objects and another aspect of object properties in JavaScript, where we are going to be looking at nested objects. Property values in an object can be other objects, which means that when you have an object declared, you can as well have other objects inside that same object. So that's what nesting means, adding something inside something. So that is how the part we are going to be considering in this lesson. We are going to see how you can nest objects inside an object. So let's dive in with quick examples. Okay. So here we're talking about nested objects in JavaScript. Nested objects in JavaScript. Now to nest objects. To objects in JavaScript. So I'm going to go ahead and then remove all of these that we currently have, and I am going to make a brand new example in order to demonstrate this. So let's say I have this object. I'll call it my objects. And then I have properties like name, which is name equals to John. And maybe age of 25, or it could be any number. And then after this particular two properties that I've added, I can have another object and name it, okay, let's say my car, inside the existing objects that I already have. And you can see that when I try to nest my car, you will see that it's not giving me any error. And then take note of how I am doing the nesting inside the first object. You can see that the first object comes with equals to then this particular opening, close, curly braces. But when you want to nest objects inside object, you don't need to put equals to and do this again. You can see that I'm getting error by using assignment operator. So the semicolon is what you use in order to add another object inside an existing object, as you can see here in my screen. So then I can now give this one to a proper and say, okay, first car, Ford, car 2, Honda, car 3, Benz. Now, you can see that I'm having two nested objects inside each other. Now, if I want to access this nested object, how do I do that in JavaScript? I can use the dot notation or the bracket notation, just the same way we access the properties of a regular object. It's the same way you do the access. It's the same way you access the property of nested object as well. So if I want to access this property, so I'll just call my object, which is the main object, and then what do I want to call again? Then I'll call the next object, which is nested inside it. And what do I want to access? Let me say I want to access the car at position 2. I do document dot get element by ID. Dot inner HTML equals. I think I should just call this out. Okay, let me just assign this to something, maybe something like this. And then let me output value and you can see that I am getting the correct value for my second property of this nested objects inside the main object of my object. You can see that this value corresponds to the output I am getting on my screen, which is owner. So you access nested objects using, you can access it through dot notation the normal way you access the normal object by calling on the object name, then the nested object inside the initial object, and then the property that you want to access. And I can as well use bracket notation in order to access this. So I can pass this here in form of a bracket notation and look at through in this way. And then if you take a look at this, I think I'm not getting the correct output because I missed the apostrophe that is supposed to be at the back. Don't forget that when you are accessing using bracket notation, this quotation mark is very important, or else you will not get what you want. And I can as well do it this way and said I want to use bracket notation all through, and I will just wrap this as well in quotation mark. Then I will remove these dots, and you will see that I am still getting my Honda as the correct output. So this is one of the way you can do nested object in JavaScript. You can nest an object inside an existing one, and then you will get an answer. So this is one example. Another example that I want to show us is this. So I'll take this out. So I will leave this particular part as well, and then I can try and do something like this. Now you can see that what I'm doing is more like when you are using the bracket notation that requires that quotation mark. If you take a look and you are following along, and then I can use, I already have my document dates get here. So I can then try and do something like this. My object, and use the bracket notation to access what I already have. Now, take a look at how I'm using the bracket notation here. You will notice that I am no longer using quotation mark, and that is because when I am assigning this property here and this object, when I'm assigning it to this variable P1, I've already called it with this quotation mark. So which means that when I want to output this variable, I don't need the quotation mark, and you see that I'm still getting order. So if I change this and do car 3, my car should change. If I do car 1, what am I getting? Is the same order, undefined? Where is undefined coming from? Car, my cars, close, car 1. If I do car 3, I am getting Benz, then car 1. What is wrong? Undefined. Car 2. Okay, this is perfect. And car 3. This as well is perfect. So now you can see this is how you use the bracket notation, like the way I'm using it here, in order to get the output of your corresponding property from an object. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next lesson.